All right, let's begin. Um, Weekly stream, welcome. Monday, January 29th here. We've got Bitcoin to look at here. A little bit of a green day today. Nice to see. I think we are off to something good here. We'll get into it. Bitcoin, we discussed, well, I can look. We discussed on the 11th that if we got the SFP up here, which we did. We drew out a couple possibilities of where we could go from there, with the best case sort of being the 40K pullback, which seems to be what we got. Not to say we can't go for option two, which was a full pullback and sort of clear this gap in efficiency here around 32, 33. But I'm starting to think that is not going to happen based on we got this deviation below the mid range, popped back up with a nice strong move, getting some bullish price action here. And we flipped back above the 200 EMA on the 4 hour, which generally leads to momentum, even if it's just bot driven alone. Plenty of people look at that 200 EMA as an indicator of whether the market's bullish or bearish. So, um, good to see that, especially after falling below it briefly. Since the last stream, we've had the ETF get approved. Um, Plenty of chatter about that. But just to sort of recap, as we haven't talked about it since I've been back on here, ETF is approved. Can jump here. I have them all. So I've got 10 here. I'm not sure, there might be a few more, but I tried to just grab the ones I saw. Um, GBTC sort of being Big Daddy right now, or it was as Bitcoin was selling off. A lot of that was redemptions um, from people like Sam and more savvy investors that were buying GBTC at a discount to its NAV. Meaning, if they had $1 million worth of Bitcoin under their management, but the price was only reflecting $750,000, there's a discount there, there's an arbitrage opportunity, and now that gap needed to close. So a lot of Bitcoin was being sold actually as people were redeeming their GBTC once it converted to an ETF and was you could sort of redeem it for its full NAV value. So there was an arbitrage play there. Um, I'm not sure exactly how much they have left, if there's any left to sell, but it seems the inflows are sort of outweighing that right now, anyways. But this is your typical ETF chart right here. We can go through all of them, but they're all going to basically look like this. This was largely, like I said, due to the GBTC outflows, people redeeming that. And now it looks like we've got a reversal here. Um, and again, not much you can do as far as TA on here. This is just going to reflect basically what Bitcoin's doing. Again, with gaps, because we had a little bit of a pump over the weekend. So it opened Monday with, a gap up because it needs to trade perfectly in line with how much Bitcoin it's holding. And if Bitcoin pumps over the weekend, then the market's going to reflect that almost immediately when it opens on Monday. Um, so just a little bit of backstory there. I believe there's been applications filed for an Ethereum ETF. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the ETF space now that we've got sort of widespread approval of the Bitcoin ETF, and you know we've seen some institutional Twitter accounts just straight shit posting and WagMe and GM and getting their full crypto Twitter on. It's been a little bit cringe, but overall it's a net positive for the industry as it lets in retirement accounts and things like that that weren't typically able to buy Bitcoin. But back to my main point here is just that we're getting this cross up. We want to see this keep pushing. So Bitcoin by itself looks quite good right now. ETH lagging a bit here, um, still below the 200, trending up, but just structurally not in as good of a position as Bitcoin is right now. But not to say that it can't get there. Um, I know I mentioned earlier in the group that there was quite a few alts that were leading Bitcoin that have already made that bullish cross, like AVAX here, for example. We got the bear cross, went down, fell below this blue area that I had marked up as our demand zone, came right back up, and now crossing above. Now, we do want to see this. This isn't a complete green light here. It's positive. I mean, it's the best we could ask for right now, but we do want to see this keep going. Um, and across the board, we want to see that strength in alts. And I think if it can just chop around even, just stay above the 200, just kind of chop solidate here for a little bit while ETH is able to reclaim the 200, then we could see some strong moves in alts. I think uh, they're getting a little bit ahead of themselves. Granted, ETH has underperformed everything for quite a while now, so it's not really a surprise to see it, but I think the market still does look for ETH to get above this 200 before we get a full green light on alts. Um, Beam was another example, right? Deviated below this range low, came back up, and now we've got the bull cross, back above the 200 EMA, sort of riding these faster EMAs up. Um, Again, want to see this get above the mid range, see this push towards range highs. I think if that happens, ultimately, I mean, eventually we are going to break this range high, I think, as long as, um, the rest of the market's cooperating. So I continued, I added a bit to my position while we were down. The range lows around 16, 17. So still bullish on that. Celestia, TIA was another example I gave. This one actually never really lost its 200. It did, I mean, for a quick deviation, came back down, tested it. Um, but truly, we were never really trading below the 200. Now we're just riding these fast EMAs up, um, which, as you can see, if you look close, they did cross back over into sort of a bullish pattern. Um, so good to see that. Um, Link might have been another one. Yeah, Link just got over the 200 on that last 4 hour candle, um, which is good. This is what you want to see is some majors doing well. Um, if majors are doing well, that's going to trickle into your, mid caps, small caps, really set us up for a nice little run here. Again, all contingent on if Bitcoin can stay above its 200. We want to see this stay healthy. If it pumps too hard, it might draw some liquidity from alts and actually backfire on us. But and then ETH getting above its 200. So right now that's around 2340. So we'd like to see ETH get above that for our altcoins to continue doing well. Um, let's take a quick look at ETH BTC before we wrap this up. Okay, we had that big ETH BTC move. It put in fresh lows, just skyrocketed. Problem is here, this was more Bitcoin bleeding out harder than ETH versus ETH pumping harder than Bitcoin. So it wasn't really the ETH BTC rally that we had dreamed of. Um, and since has been going down. So we do want to get some strength here. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Again, ETH has been the laggard of the market, so I don't think we're entirely dependent on this. This is where it might actually be prudent to look at the different total market caps and maybe look into that because we've had all coins do phenomenal, even in a ETH BTC downtrend. I mean, this whole downtrend. We saw Celestia, we saw Beam, we saw Avalanche, Link. Plenty of altcoins have big moves. So, not to say that we can't, but in a perfect world, we'd like all things to be lined up uh, so that we can get this real alt season kicked off. Um, yeah, so that's probably going to be it. Stop the recording here. Have a good week. Speak to you in the next couple of Mondays. Be here every Monday. I think Christian next week, G Rooster. So see you there for that. Bye.